Brilliant. Okay, so come to stand for me, guys, and we'll just have a little bit of a warm up in standing. Great. Okay, so feet are hip distance apart, and we're just going to make sure that our knees are soft. Sorry, I've just lost myself on the screen. I'm back. Okay, knees are soft, and just bring your hands to the brim of your pelvis. Let's just do a few of those pelvic tilts. So, bucket of water, tip the water out the front of the bucket, feel the back arch, and then tip the water out the back of the bucket. Feel the back flatten and the tailbone tuck underneath. One more each way, super duper slow this evening. So a real roll through the pelvis and then roll backwards. Just get that lower back moving, and then just come to where your pelvis rests level. Close your eyes, deep breath in, and as we breathe out, we're going to work that pelvic floor. So gently drawing the back passage towards the front passage, or it's just a simple draw up towards your tummy, and we're going to hold that as we breathe in, counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, keep holding, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, relax. And as you relax, open your eyes and drop your hands down by your side. Make sure those shoulder blades are tucked into your back pockets. As you grow tall, lengthening through the spine, opening all those joints in your spine. Okay, deep breath in, and as we breathe out, we're just going to look over to one shoulder, opening up through the neck, nice and slow, and back to the centre and over to the opposite side. So really try and keep those shoulders tucked down into your back pockets. As you get to the end of that stretch, you should feel it just creates a little bit more tension through the neck so that your shoulders aren't starting to creep round as you twist round. Okay, one more on each side. Hopefully just loosen everything off a little bit. Final side, and then back to the centre. We're going to focus now on the shoulders. So we've got those two spring coils. We're just going to tighten them up to draw the rib cage down towards the waist. Hands crossed over at the elbows. Open and roll those shoulders back down. And then we're going to float those hands up to shoulder height and back down again. Now, as we work through this movement, I want you to do a really gentle draw of your lower tummy towards your spine, and that will help you stop your rib cage flaring forwards as you lift your arms up. So the spine stays neutral and the arms and shoulders do all of the work. Gentle tension through between the shoulder blades as well as we tuck those shoulders into our back pockets. Super, 2 more. And then we're going to hold this one. So we take the arms up to shoulder height, check in on those shoulders, make sure your shoulders haven't crept up towards your ears. You've got a nice long neck there. We're going to breathe in, and as we breathe out, twist the rib cage around to one side, aiming to keep your belly button pointing forwards. Come back to the centre and twist to the other side. Now when you get to the end of that twist, just check in on those shoulders. As we feel tight, our shoulders tend to stiffen up. So let's avoid that movement. Drop the shoulders down and use your breath to take you further. So we're trying to dissociate the movement. So from the waist down is pointing forwards and the waist up is twisting to the side. Should feel like it really opens you up. Might feel a bit stiff to begin with, so let's do one more on each side. And we're going to visit this twisting movement a few times throughout this evening session. Okay, we're going to go over to one side, twisting round, and now what I want you to do is unfold your arms and reach to the walls in front and behind you, and now fold your arms again. So you're staying twisted and you're just opening and closing that crossed arm position. I'll show you from side arm. So twisting here and opening and closing. So we're opening the front of the shoulder, more so the back of the shoulder, but we're getting the nerves that kind of run from the neck down through the arm. We're just getting them moving a little bit. Sometimes our nerves just need a little bit of movement, especially if we hold a lot of tension around the necks and the shoulders. Okay, let's fold those arms and let's cross and twist around to the opposite side. Remember, belly button pointing forwards, and then we open and close into that cross shoulder position. Remember, breathing nice and deeply, shoulders relaxed, nice and tall through the top of your head. Couple more. And then back to the centre after this next one. Good, and give those arms just a little bit of a shake through. Okay, hopefully you're feeling nice and limber from this way up. So let's warm these legs up now. We're going to work into our lunges. So when we think about lunges, let me just do a little bit of a technique kind of teach. We're going to be nice wide stance apart, and you think about bending your back knee so that the front knee simply bends with the movement. We don't bend into that front knee, it just allows us to lower down. And if you struggle with that, you can do your lunges in front of a wall, because if you're bending loads into your front knee, you'll get stuck, okay? So you want to avoid bending down into that wall. Okay, so we're going to do super slow. We're going to step one leg forwards, arms out for balance, and lower down into our lunge. Push back up and step back. And swap sides. Lower down, push back up, and step back. Now, if your balance is really not great, find yourself something to hold on to. And I want you to focus on those kneecaps. So those kneecaps are pointing in a nice straight line. So that front kneecap has got a beam of light shining down it, and it's pointing to the camera and not across to the opposite side of the room. And the beam of light at the back is pointing down to the floor, not across to the inside of your leg. Okay, when you're happy with that movement, we're going to go a little bit quicker and see if you can land in that lunge. But don't get rid of your precision. If you find that that throws you out a little bit, slow it down. Precision is better than speed, okay? We want those muscle groups working well. I'm going to go slow because I'm struggling with these this evening, okay? We've got two more. And then we're going to take one leg forwards, doesn't matter which one, and we're going to lower down into that lunge and pause there. So it gives us a chance to check in on knees and toes. So if you can't see the toes on your front foot, you've come a bit too far forward, so sit back, okay? We're going to cross those hands over at the shoulders again, holding that lunge. We're going to take our twists. Oh, now we feel a little bit more of a pull through the oblique muscles, across the tummy. 3 twists to each side. If you need to stand up because your legs are telling you, just listen to them, stand up and then join back in. But if you can, enjoy that sense of hard work, enjoy that sense of wobble and burn, because that's where we start to get stronger. Okay, once you finish that third one, swap sides. We'll go straight in if we can, but if you need a rest, be my guest, okay? And once you've done that, twisting round. Remember, you can control how deep you go. So a little bit deeper is going to work a lot harder. Okay, keep those twists going. 3 on each side. Watch those shoulders aren't creeping up. Legs should be super warm now. Brill. Okay, and then come back to stand. But keep one leg in front of the other. I'm going to give you just a minute or so, just if you need to catch up. Or catch your breath like me. Okay, one foot in front of the other, toes and heels pointing forwards, and the back heel is on the mat. So I want you to think of connecting that back heel down into the mat. Hands down in front, and we're going to roll down the front leg now. So peeling away from your wall. Imagine you're a piece of wallpaper. If, like me, you're feeling a little bit wobbly with this, you could take your feet a little bit wider apart to increase your base. But rolling down, now start to feel that stretch along the front leg, but continue to push into your back heel, and you should feel that along the calf as well. Let's hang there for a second. Breathing deeply, and then peel back up to stand. Okay, let's swap sides. So just bringing one foot in front of the other on the other way. Feet, heels and toes in line. A little bit of a wider gap if you're feeling a bit wobbly. Starting off nice and tall, and then super slow. We peel through our spine. I think most of us know our roll downs now, but the idea is to imagine that your spine is moving at every level. And just let the back of the neck relax. So head hangs heavy, Holding at the end just to feel that stretch. Push into the back heel as much as the front. Keep that weight evenly distributed and then slowly stack up to stand. So a bit of balance challenge there, as well as a stretch. Well done, everyone. Okay, we're nearly done in standing. Before we come down onto the mat, let's just work the legs a touch more. This time we're going to step wider than the hips, okay? Nice and wide, and turn the toes into the corner of the room. Opening up the side of the body, we're just reaching down the outside of the leg and coming back to the centre and reaching down the opposite side. Just let your body tip from side to side. Don't force the movement. Just take your body to where it feels comfortable. And then aim a little bit further that next time. If you've stopped breathing, you're pushing too hard. So just make sure your breath helps you flow with that movement. Okay, let's go down to one side. Hold that reach, and you're going to take your opposite arm up towards the ceiling. And then if you want to challenge your balance, see if you can look up to that hand that's pointing upwards. Palms facing forwards. You're trying to make yourself look like a triangle, so make your body as flat as you can. And then come back to the centre and repeat that on the opposite side. So we reach down, the arm stretches up, and once we've found the balance, we look to the ceiling. Lovely stuff. Okay, come back to the centre and just roll through those shoulders. Okay, I promised you a bit of leg work. So we're going to start to come down into our plie now. So we've got those toes turned to the corners of the room, and we want our knees to work to the corners of the room as well. So really squeezing into the outside of the thigh as you just bend and straighten. And we don't want any Donald Duck bottoms, so we're going to tuck the tailbone underneath as we lower down. And what that'll do is it'll just give us a sense of tightening through the tummy as well. Let's remind ourselves of our pelvic floor. So as we go down, we're going to draw that pelvic floor in. And as we go up, we're going to release that pelvic floor. So pelvic floor as we go down and release. That's really quite hard to do. 3 more. 2 more, make sure you're breathing. And 1, we take this one to the hold. Don't worry about the pelvic floor. Those arms are back, crossing them over the shoulder. Want to work harder, go a bit deeper, and we go into that twist. So now you should feel this a little bit lower down as we're fixing that pelvis in that plie position, and we're twisting and coming to see you. So just keep twisting side to side. Lovely, yeah, let your neck follow that movement. So you're looking the direction that you're twisting in. Remember those shoulders, don't let them creep up. These are looking fabulous, guys. 1 more on each side, because I'm sure your legs are screaming at you. And then slowly push back up to stand. And I'm sure you feel like you need to shake all of that out. Okay, well done. We're going to come down onto the mat now, working on the back to begin with. So when you're ready, just set yourself up on your back with your knees bent, feet hip distance apart, shoulders relaxed down onto the mat. And if you want to, you can use a little pillow to support your head. So let's do a few pelvic tilts in lying. Really nice opportunity, again, just to visit that small movement at the base of the spine. Imagine you're lying on a sponge and you're just pressing your back into the sponge and releasing the water from the sponge, and then easing away and letting that water all soak up again. Okay, and then find your central point. Now, the reason I've revisited that is because it's really key for our next exercise. So think about your sponge. Try and maintain a gentle pressure on your sponge. And if you're not sure about that, just slip your hands in the small of your back and keep the pressure constant. We're going to come into our scissors exercise. So this is our tabletop. We float one leg up into tabletop, knee stacked over the hip at a 90-degree angle, and then we slowly lower down. We're going to go super slow and avoid the idea of lifting off that sponge. Repeat that on the opposite side. And what you can also check for is that as you switch from side to side, you're not squashing either end of the sponge a little bit more. So it's that constant pressure on the sponge as we float our legs in and out of tabletop for our scissors exercise. And it's that abdominal tummy control that gives us that lovely stable spine as the legs move. Now, most of you are familiar with this. I'm going to show you a level up, but only do this if you can keep that constant pressure on your sponge. So as our exercise is scissors, as one leg lifts, the other leg lowers, and we scissor midway through that movement. You should feel your tummy has just stepped up a gear to try and keep that constant pressure on your sponge. Good work, guys. Okay, make sure your shoulders are relaxed. If it becomes uncomfortable at any point, you just hug your knees towards your chest, reset, and we're going again. But we're going to build on this for tummy strength. So if you feel like this is enough for you, then just work here. Otherwise, we're going to come into our double tabletop. So for double tabletop, one leg is in scissors and then the other leg comes up. Okay, squeeze the knees together and just melt the rib cage down towards the waist. Remember those spring coils we spoke about in our warm-up? Just tighten them up a little bit. We need that slight more pressure to hold the load of the two legs. And now we're just going to work on slowly lowering one leg down to touch the mat and then floating it back up, back to double tabletop, and then one leg lowers down, back to double tabletop. If that feels too hard, just work on a single leg, slowly lowering and slowly lifting. Or when you come down, tap your foot a little bit closer towards your bottom. If you want to work harder, you tap your foot further away. If you're getting any snapping or clicking or clunking over your hip or your groin, make that movement smaller. I'm hoping you're feeling this in your tummy because I sure am. Okay, we're nearly finished now. So I'm going to keep you going with this, but if you want to work a touch harder, both feet lower down at the same time, but do not let that back lift off your sponge to get those feet down onto the mat. Big option here, so choose it wisely. We've got 4 more, so that could be 2 legs lowering on their own, or 4 more in total. That's 3 now. Whew. 2 now. And 1 more rep. Okay, and then hug those knees towards your chest. Those leg lowers are a really lovely way of strengthening the tummy. Okay, a little bit longer just to enjoy that sense of a cuddle, of a hug. And then when you're ready, just start to roll yourself forwards and backwards. Just massaging through the spine. And then bring yourself up to sit. Brilliant, lovely. All doing a good job of that. Okay, I'm going to face forwards, but you can stay where you are. We're going to work the shoulders a little bit now. So bending your knees, feet, knees are all hip distance apart, so make sure those knees don't collapse into one another. And then you're going to put your hands either side of you, just behind your waist, with your fingers pointing to the sides of your mat. Now you're imagining you've got a juicy peach between your chin and your chest. Gently nuzzle into that peach, but don't squash it. And then from here, we're just simply going to push through the heels of the hands to allow our necks to lengthen and our shoulders to feel really nice and active. Now we're going to work into our leg pull, and it might be that just preparing for this movement, which is exactly what we've just done, where we've pushed through the heels of the hands, might feel like that's enough for your shoulders today. And you can sit in this position, draw your shoulder blades down into your back pockets, or you can come with me as we start to lift the hips off the mat. So it's kind of like a reverse box position, this time facing upwards. As you go up, just nuzzle into that peach a little bit more so you're looking forwards rather than letting the weight of your head drop back. Once you've got to the top, check in on that pelvis. Make sure it's not dipped down to one side. If it is, squeeze the bottom on that side, and then we slowly, slowly lower down again. Okay, rest, give those shoulders a wiggle and reset. So push with the heels of the hands, float the hips up. Now the hips don't need to come too high. What's more important is that your pelvis isn't twisted and your shoulders don't collapse into your neck as you lift up. But taking your time, super slow lower, pause at the top to check, and then slowly back down again. You could come out of that, give those wrists a little bit of a stretch, and then go back in again. It's a tough one, this, guys, but you know I like to challenge you. So let me see how you're doing. Nice work, Jill. Lovely. So really squeezing your bottom when you get to the top. That's it, Lauren. Yes, Fiona, I've got great views here. Lovely. Nice control there, George. Great work, Becky. Well done, everyone. Looking great. Okay. So option to add a leg extension when you lift up into that lifted position. See if you can stretch one leg away and then fold it back in and then stretch the other leg away. But now we're really thinking about what's going on with our pelvis. Imagine that tray of drinks that we often talk about resting on your pelvis. If you straighten your legs, do you spill your drinks? If you do, don't worry about those leg straightens, okay? Come out of that when you need to, and we're going to go again. I'm going to give you 30 seconds just to work at whatever level you feel able to, remembering that your first level is just pushing into the hands and really being active through your shoulders. Second level is to lift your hips, and third level, add those leg stretches. Nice, Afshin, that's good. Oh, we got quite a few people going for those leg stretches. Really nice. Well done, Helen. Good. Good work, Chris. Okay. Last couple of seconds if you want to squeeze a few more in. But when you feel like you're done with those, just sit down and hug around those knees and give those shoulders a little bit of a roll through. So lots of activity, and that is a full body strengthener, but I tend to feel it mainly around my shoulders as we're really weight bearing through that area. Okay, remember those twists? They're coming back again. So still in our seated position. This time, if you need to, you can bring your feet and knees together if you want to squeeze your knees to give you a little bit more support. I'll leave that up to you. And we're going to come to our roll back. So just turn side on. We start nice and tall, sitting really high on the seat bones. And then we roll off the seat bones, tuck the tailbone underneath, and take that to where you start to feel tension building in the tummy. Don't let the rib cage lift. Tighten those spring coils, and then when you get to the end of that movement, we're going to do that lovely spine twist either side and then come back up to sit. So the way that we add levels here is about how low you go in that roll back, okay? And for some people, that roll back may just look like a small pelvic tilt with a roll here. Now, if you're feeling when you go quite deep that your hip flexor muscles, these muscles at the front of your thigh, are really gripping on, squeeze your knees together, see if that makes it feel any easier. If it doesn't, just don't go quite so deep, because what that means is your hip flexor muscles are having to work much harder because your tummy muscles aren't quite there yet to go into that deep position. Remembering we're tall through the spine, our shoulders are down. This is a hard one. Give it a go. Well done, Jill. Really nice. Just one on each side and then come back to sit. Or if you're feeling strong, you could do a few on each side. Lovely. Gorgeous. Well done, Lucy. Nice and slow. That's it, Lydia. Lovely, Karina. Can just see you bobbing up and down. Great. Okay. I'm going to give you another couple of repetitions there. I'll join in with you. Hopefully those tummies are feeling that work now. This is your last kind of pure tummy strengthener, so use what you can and then come back to sit, and let's just all take a hug round those knees. I'm going to leave you there just to hang for a second while I show you our last little sequence, which is going to be, we're going to flip that box over, and now we're going to come onto our hands and knees. But for now, we're going to work into the shoulders, front of the shoulders, and into the chest. So, nice long spine. Juicy peach, gently nuzzle it into your chin, shoulders down, and lengthen your tailbone away from your spine. keeping the length in the tailbone, start to lower your chest towards the mat as you bend your elbows out to the side. So quite simply, we're doing a press up here, and then we push through the heels of the hands to straighten the elbows and lift the body back to the box position. Draw your tummy towards your spine as you lower down to avoid the temptation of your bottom sticking up in the air. We want to keep that spine nice and long. Now, if that feels too heavy, too much work, just shift your weight back towards your heels and now press up. So you're just taking a little bit of weight out those hands. If at any point you need to rest, just sit all the way back to those heels. Give those wrists a circle, and we're going again. Now, if you want to work a bit harder, rather than having your chest aim between your hands, take your weight over your hands and bring your chest in front of your hands as you lower towards the mat. Now, make sure your chest leads the movement and not your neck, otherwise you're going to drop your peach. And nobody likes a bruised peach. Okay, super slow. I'm going to count maybe 3, 2, 1 as you lower, and 3, 2, 1 as you come up. These should not feel easy. If they do, go for a full press up. Okay. Remember, as you lower down, to avoid the temptation of your bottom sticking up in the air, so tuck your tailbone underneath. Good. Super. Okay, 4 more, because it's my favourite number. I'll join you for those final 4. Keeping them super slow though. Should feel equally as hard going down as it does coming up. Should be about halfway there now. 2. And 1 more. And sit back onto those heels. And give those wrists a little stretch. Okay, we don't have long, so we're just going to finish with a swimming exercise in our box position. So if you want to watch first, we know our box setup, necks long, shoulders down, tailbone long. Make sure you've got enough length behind you, because you're going to imagine you've got a tray of drinks resting on your waist, and starting by stretching one leg out behind. Now, as you lengthen that leg, make sure you don't spill your tray of drinks. And if you're happy, you can start to float that leg up to hip height. But if you float that leg up to hip height and your lower back arches and you look a bit like a banana, lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. And if you struggle to do that, don't lift your foot off the mat. So level 1, you just stretch the leg away and then draw it back in. Level 2, you add that little lift at the top of the movement. And what you can do as you lengthen away, glance down at your leg that's taking your weight and just make sure that your hip is stacked over your knee. If your hip has drifted off to the side, chances are you've spilt your tray of drinks. So working to correct that. So you've got that kind of imaginary cue of the tray of drinks, but you can check in on that by just glancing down and then find that lovely neck position. Okay, so your 2 options. Number 1, you're just stretching the leg. Number 2, you're adding the lift. I'm just coming to see what you're all doing. It looks like, although I can't see Emma, Paul and Muna, it looks like everybody's gone for the lift. Super. So we're going to stretch and we're going to hold one leg. So take that nice long leg lift and point your toes. Okay, those trays, that tray of drinks on your back is full with some really expensive coffee or some really expensive champagne. And now we're going to draw a circle with that leg. So you've really got to hold that stability in your back so you don't spill that tray of drinks. Super small circles is the secret. Big circles, you're going to be more likely to spill those drinks. Okay, 3 more. And then we'll change direction. And when you're ready, change direction. We've got 6 circles in this way. Okay, really feeling that work through the back line of the body. Squeeze your bottom to help. Draw your tummy towards your spine. Get everything you can just to keep that tray of drinks nice and steady. There should be about 6 now, so let's swap sides, or you can catch up if you need to. Opposite side now, find that neutral spine and circle that leg. Now it's the whole of the leg that draws the circle, not the ankle. So point that toe and imagine your hip joint drawing a circle. So you're scooping that joint around the socket. Change direction, checking on the neck, checking on the shoulders, checking on the tailbone, checking on the glass of champagne. 2 more. Or 1 more, good. And then down and sit back into your shelf stretch. Push back through to your heels and slide your hands along the length of your mat to feel the undersides of the shoulders open. We are here for a couple of breaths. And then in a moment, we're going to finish with a down dog stretch. So setting that up, if you're using a yoga or Pilates mat, just make sure the outside of your little fingers is in line with the outsides of the mat. And then don't move your hands, but start to bring your weight away from your heels so that you can tuck your toes underneath. Once your toes are tucked under, you can start to push into your feet, lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and then start to push away from your hands. And we're looking back or looking up, drawing the tummy towards the spine as we go. Now, as we hang here, we're going to breathe deeply, remembering that our breath allows our body to relax. And as things feel a little bit easier, maybe starting to walk those heels down towards the mat, but only if it feels comfortable for you. Don't force it, just let your body sit into that stretch. Keep on walking those heels. And then take 2 heels back towards the mat. And we're going to hold this for 5 deep breaths. Breathing in. And out. 2. 3. 4. And 5. 1 more deep breath in. And out. Softening your knees. Walk your hands towards your knees, your feet, sorry. And then you can slowly roll through your spine and stack up to stand. Take that slow just to give your head a chance to catch up, so you don't get that rush of blood. Super, just take your time. And then we're finished.